Peace, family. Welcome to another episode of Broken Theory. Today we got Kirsten Hunneyball. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to ask you how this music journey got started with you.
So I've always been a musician since I was a kid. I played trumpet and piano and stuff at school, and it was something I gravitated toward. I love my grandmother's piano. So it's kind of like in my bones, if you want to call it that. And then through school and stuff like that, I was in orchestras, jazz band with my trumpet, and it was just like my whole life. That there wasn't a day that I wasn't doing something musical. And then when I went up to college or university, I kind of fell away from that because I really struggled with my mental health. And it just like completely sidetracked for I think maybe 7 or 8 years. And I went into my whole life after that, like mainstream job, working as an operations manager, not happy, etc. And then when COVID hit, I bought a new piano and decided to write a song and submitted that song to a place called Abbey Road, if you know it. And they accepted a scholarship for me to go study music production and sound engineering there during COVID. So that's like how I spent my COVID years. And that kind of just turned my whole life around. And I never went back to working for someone else after that. I started my own coaching business, advocating for mental health and writing music to kind of tell my story. So that's the very short version.
I mean, it's amazing, especially during COVID. Like, that just speaks wonders about your talent. What age would you say you started gravitating towards the piano at your grandmother's house?
I was probably maybe 6 or 7 years old.
Okay.
When we moved into my new house, I remember.
So from there, at what point did you start making your first song?
So it was probably, I guess you can count songs that were you writing choruses and lyrics and stuff like that with your best friend in primary school. Does that count?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my friend and I, her name's Emma, she and I used to write out song lyrics and come up with tunes and then sing them and perform them for our parents, and we used to pretend to be idols, and we had like pretty cool songs, and we'd go out and we'd sing them at school and stuff like that. So that was probably the first official song ever written.
That's amazing. And what age was that?
That was about 8.
8? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You got a lot of people, you got a head start on a lot of people. How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 33 now.
Okay.
And
so you got experience.
Yeah, but my first official, if you want to call it official, song that's out in the world was only released in December last year. So it's been a long journey.
Wow. So what was it like making music all of that time up until just about last year, coming out with your first actual song?
I think in the beginning, when I used to just enjoy music, I had a lot of self-doubt. I was told by school teachers and stuff that I was always behind and I would never be good enough musically, and I wasn't as good as the other students. And so I had like a lot of crushing from really horrible they were supposed to help me and they really didn't. So I remember in the beginning really just never believing that I could do more than cover other people's music and maybe play a gig in a bar or something like that.
And what gave you that perception?
I think it was just a sense of disbelief and also a lack of skill set. So like I mentioned, I struggled a lot with mental health. I was in a very severe eating disorder. And what used to be my practice time for my instruments became my eating disorder time. And so I started to dedicate a lot more attention to the eating disorder and not as much attention to my instruments. And so I felt like I was behind everyone, not only in skill set, but also this fundamental belief that was ingrained in me by my teachers that I would never be a good enough musician. So to pedal back to your question, what was music like? Up until probably my Abbey Road experience, it was very much isolated. I wasn't really believing in myself. And then when I started to connect with other musicians who could see my talents and who could understand how to cultivate and motivate me and really form a community, then I found that I started to believe in myself a little bit more, and I started to expand my knowledge, and I started to expand my skill set slowly but surely, and kind of believe in myself a bit more.
Absolutely.
Now like music creation it's partially a spiritual process for me. I think actually probably entirely a spiritual process for me. And so it's much more enjoyable, it's much more free, and there's a lot less pressure, internalized pressure that I place on myself. So
that's the biggest
part. The short answer.
No. When you're your biggest fan, I think everything else just falls into place. You know, when
Absolutely.
you believe in yourself, like you want people to believe in you, you know, they kind of already see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it also, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think another thing that's so important about the music creation process is to lower expectations and just allow yourself to melt into the process of music. So there will be times where I think, I'm going to write a song, and I pick my guitar up, and like maybe for 2 hours, and I sound weird when I say that, I would just like pluck one string and just listen. What does that resonance sound like? What does it feel when I hear that one string like over and over? And I just get lost in that process. And for me, that moment that's enough of songwriting for the day, because that's part of the process. If that makes sense.
No, it does. Everybody has their own process, and it's like whatever you gravitate towards, that's what makes your music so unique. You know what I mean? It's like
absolutely.
It's one of one. It's not like you're sitting there trying to copy somebody else, because let's just use Drake for example. You know, that's completely different from the way that he would make his hits. Or you know, somebody like Adele, you know, maybe she may have somebody that plays the piano and already, you know, comes to her with the instrumental, and you're crafting everything all on your own. So it's a completely different lane, and it's a completely different game. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
No problem. I just wanted to ask you, you know, going back to, you know, the teachers seeding doubt on you and giving you doubt, what advice would you give to somebody that's overcoming doubt in their community, whether it be their family members, whether it be teachers, people in close by? What advice would you give to somebody trying to overcome?
The first thing I would say is that your fear and your doubt and all of those feelings that are coming up are so valid. So I would validate that person's experience, and I would just say it's okay to doubt yourself, but don't let that doubt become your master. And so if you're feeling doubt, that can often make you shrivel within yourself and become a less version of yourself. And if you go, I'm really doubting this right now, and I really feel afraid, but this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm connecting, this is how I'm taking it one step at a time, being really gentle on myself. And I guess that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, you gotta feel the fear and then do it anyways, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As an artist, how do you feel like you found your sound?
I'm still not quite sure if I found it. So I think because, again, when I was studying, I was being introduced to people and thought patterns and processes that were just like more advanced than I'd ever seen in my life before.
It was kind of overwhelming.
Yeah. So I was kind of like scrambling a little bit, and I was like, but what I do and what I still do now in terms of my sound is I listen to music and I try to understand why I feel the way I feel when I listen to it. So I remember there's a band called Louis Del Mar, and when I was in COVID, I think there must have been about 3 months where I listened to one song every single day on the drive home over and over and over again for like an hour. I know that sounds a little bit obsessive, but you gotta be. And I would just try and like listen, why do I feel this way? What does it make me feel? And then when I tried to make my music, I try to base the sounds that I find on the feelings that they evoke physically in my body and in my mind and my spirit. So I guess my sound is a little bit of influence from a lot of different places, and blending those things that just feel good when they come together. And so a lot of the time people hear my music and they're like, okay, well, it's not quite Afro pop, and it's not quite pop, and it's not quite indie, and it's not quite R&B, and it's not quite like, so what is it? So I kind of feel like the sound that I found was more a feeling that I found, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to make anything for anyone else.
Yeah. No, I mean, what it sounds like is you're not trying to place boundaries on yourself. You're just going straight off of pure emotion and experience. And honestly, that's when some of the best music is made, because, you know, when people get that back, it's like, what is this? You know, like somebody may hear it and be like excited about music again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or somebody will hear it and just be like, I've never heard anything like this before. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's like, you know, I definitely always like the people that bend genres anyways, you know what I mean? And kind of bring worlds together, because it takes a lot of courage to be able to do those type of things too. Because, you know, somebody that's listening to R&B all the time will hear yours and be like, that's not R&B, you're not R&B, blah, blah, blah. But like, you know, you already know that because you're bending the genre. That wasn't your intention to make a straight R&B song, you know? It's like crossing boundaries. I always like that, and I appreciate that. How do you decide when a piece of music is ready to be shared with the world?
I guess there's three things. The first is if I'm happy with the quality that I'm letting out there. Like I know what it's like to have something released and it's like below the standard that I would like for myself. And so I think the quality, when I listen to it and I can hear, okay, nothing's like standing out too much over there, and that's kind of like blending well. So the mix is quite important. And then I think the second thing is when I feel like the song's structure is flowing really nicely, and there's nothing that I feel like, I really could have added something there, I really could have taken that instrument out over there or whatever. And then I think the third thing is also, again, like an intuitive feeling. So at the moment I've got 7 songs lined up, and I didn't know like which one I'm gonna do first, I don't know. And I was going to wait till the end of January to start, and something just said to me, no, start in December, and then like do it in this order. And I was like, okay, cool, gonna do that. So it's a feeling thing for me. I know it's weird, but
no, it's not weird at all. It's actually not. You know, the feeling thing is very, how can I say? It's very common among artists. A lot of people don't really talk about it because, you know, that's kind of like some special game. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people have that in them. They do a lot of copying. So it's like being able to be in tune with yourself to even download that message is powerful in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
How important is faith to you?
Well, I think it's probably the foundation of my entire existence. So, you know, I think that firstly, on a completely spiritual level, I think it's really important to me. But secondly, I think that if I think of the word faith, it also embodies the word trust. And that's something that I've had to learn how to do in my life. I've had to learn how to trust loving people. I've had to learn how to trust my body's cues and signals. I've had to learn how to trust my intuition. And so I think it's the thing that drives me. It's just like recognizing where I need to let go and where I need to step in. And that, I think faith is an action word, you know.
For sure.
So it's really important. It's a complicated question.
I always spring it on people.
Avenues,
you know? I just like to see what people's take are. It doesn't necessarily always mean religion. I know some people just jump to that conclusion, but I always just put it out there because there's different people going through different things that you know, sometimes they don't know how to navigate certain things. So, you know, what tip would you give to someone that's trying to learn how to navigate learning their own faith?
I think someone who's trying to learn how to navigate learning their faith, it's something that is hard to create if you're in an environment that doesn't allow faith to be held, if that makes sense. So like, you know, faith is much easier when you're in a place that feels safe. And a lot of us are privileged to feel safe in our communities, in our, you know, in the countries we live in. And so it very much can depend on a person's personal circumstance as to how easy it is to move into faith. Because I can sit here and I can say, you know, the faith makes me feel like everything will be okay, but also my lived experience is everything will be okay. Whereas a person who lives in another place might not have that experience. So what I would say is that if you are in a place where you're struggling with faith and learning how to believe that things will be okay, is lean into the right people, because the right people will create a sense of safety for you. And in that sense of safety, you'll have a softening to yourself and you'll go, oh, okay, things are going to be okay. You know?
Absolutely.
Even if they don't look perfect.
Perfection, I feel like, is an illusion. As artists, I feel like it's something we all try to chase at some point. But I feel like the more you chase it, the faster it runs. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, nothing will ever be perfect. What you think is perfect, I may find flaws in, and what I may think is perfect, you may find flaws in. So it's just better to just, you know, work on things the best you can, and then from there, let the universe decide what it is.
Absolutely. It's actually funny you said that. So the song that I just released called Thinking About, it was mixed by the same person who mixed Hans Zimmer's band for The Lion King. So we're talking about a person who like knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
And I got these like random people on social media just saying, your mix is like not okay over there, and like you should change this and that. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you can't get like perfection from that mix engineer, then who are you gonna get it from? You know?
For sure. But it's like, you know, again, going back to the genres, right? Different people are used to different things. So artists like you, who my assumption is you and the mixing engineer have worked multiple times, correct? Yeah. So at this point, you know, he already has a vision for what you should sound like for a finished, polished product. And it's always good to have those type of relationships, because that's what makes things stand out. You know, he comes from a different background, you come from a different background, and you guys are making something together. So not everybody's going to understand it. And, you know, it may not be traditional mixing when you're thinking about one genre. Maybe R&B, I'll use that as an example again. You know what I mean? It may not sound the same, but, you know, those are the type of things that separates you from the others. You know what I mean? Maybe it may not be polished in the sense like the beat is over you. Maybe you will be over the beat, and that's what may stand out to a listener that hears you for the first time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's just always, if it feels good to you, it doesn't matter what people that don't make music say.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. So let's talk about an average day for you. What does an average day look like?
Okay, so I do have my own coaching business, so I work virtually online, and that's the kind of my bread and butter at the moment. But my average day is I probably wake up around 5:30. I meditate, I do some yoga, or I go for a run, and then I kind of like get into my day with like a lot of ease and grace. I take things super slow. And then I have clients pretty much throughout the day. I'm working with eating disorder coaching. And then kind of in between, if I've got like an hour of time that I can, like between clients or something, I'm often creating something, or I'm watching a tutorial, or I'm learning. So I'm a lifelong learner. And in the evenings, I sound like such a boring person. In the evenings, I'll generally play some guitar, or again, fiddle around with music a bit, read, journal, reflect,
For
connect
sure.
with my family, friends,
Yeah,
etc. So
that's very important.
yeah, yeah. So it's very. I live in the most beautiful paradise. The beach is like 500 meters down from my
Oh my gosh, you're
thing.
so
So like
lucky.
I've got a very
So
chilled life.
lucky. So
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah.
You talk about coaching eating disorders. What advice would you give for somebody that is struggling with that?
So I think, there's a lot of people out there placing very high expectations on, again, perfectionism. A lot of social media telling us what we should look like, what we should eat, what we should feel. A lot of the time with women and with men, just high expectations. And I think the advice is that, again, chasing perfection is an illusion. And that really learning to see what you value beyond your body is so important. So one of the things I love is a sentence that says, I know that I'm recovered when the way I look becomes less important than who I am. And that's just a really powerful statement for me. So
Absolutely.
I think my advice would be get connected, speak up, because you're not alone. And there are people out there that are really, really want to help. And so if you can find those people, just connect with them.
Like you.
Yeah, like me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself some credit.
Thanks.
So can you walk me through that process of you coaching somebody through that, or those type of feelings? What is it like when someone gets involved with you being their coach?
So generally a person will see me once or twice a week for one-on-one coaching sessions where we discuss things about like fears, body image, things that they're struggling with. I often work with multidisciplinary teams, so maybe there's like a dietitian or a family therapist or something like that involved as well.
Okay.
And then I become that person's like their thought partner, their cheerleader, so I allow my clients to message me via WhatsApp for tech support. Like maybe they're struggling with a meal and they say, hey, I'm really struggling with this meal right now, what should I do? And I can just like give them a little bit of encouragement, maybe a tool that they can use to manage that meal. Sometimes I sit and I'll have a meal with a client, just help them talk through the fears, talk through the things that come up. And then I've written an ebook that's like based on my personal journey with the eating disorder and some of the experience and tools that I've learned along the way. And then I take them through those tools and through that experience with reflective exercises, tools and all of that stuff for really trying to find freedom from the mental cage that traps you in disordered eating. And sometimes it works with people because they are ready for it to work and they're ready to show up. And sometimes I see people like continue to struggle, and there's no guarantee that working with a coach is going to be something that quote unquote fixes you. But it is lovely to know that you're working with someone who's experienced that walk and who understands the way your mind thinks. And then I also do it from like an embodied perspective. So a lot of the time I'll be really grounding my clients, doing some breathing, doing some body movements, because I'm also a trauma sensitive yoga teacher. So we sometimes incorporate those kinds of things as well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So,
yeah, I just want to say I definitely commend you for, devoting your time and, your journey to helping other people. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Not a lot of people are willing to put time into people and pour into them. It's a beautiful thing when you see that like you're trying to make a difference, not only to gain from, but just like to truly help people with something that you struggled with as well.
And it's interesting because that's a lot of what my music is. It's not like my music is about eating disorders, right? But a lot of my struggles with myself have inspired the topics and the feelings that I then portray in my music. And I try to bring this feeling. I try to bring this feeling of whenever there's something that you're struggling with, to see that there is hope, to see that there is, even in the darkness, there's something that you can reach toward. And a lot of the things in my music are actually about that. So yeah, that's just a side note.
That's so amazing. Are there any books that you're reading or that you have read that have changed your life forever?
Yes, so I've read many books, but the ones that stand out to me the most is The Women Who Run with Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes or something like that. I can't remember her name exactly, but that is an incredible book for anyone who identifies with being a female, and or anyone who's just interested in understanding feminine self. As the woman who runs with wolves. And then there was a book I read many years ago that I found in a little coffee shop or a bookshop or something. I got it for like the equivalent of $1. Wow. And it was called The Book of the Red Bird. And that was about this woman she goes through this like trauma, and then she goes out into the woods for like 3 days, and she just has this like spiritual experience where she just connects deeply with herself, and that was really cool. I love that. And I'm trying to think what else. I think those are the first ones that come to mind off the top of my head, but there are so many.
Absolutely.
There are really many.
Absolutely.
One I'm reading at the moment is by a guy called Alan Seal. It's called Create a World That Works. And it's about cultivating transformational presence in yourself and with others.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's fine. I'm going to have to definitely look into those. How has music changed your life forever?
Music has changed my life forever because it helped me heal from my eating disorder. So when I was still in the thick of it, I was having a lot of urges because I was bulimic, so I was having a lot of urges to binge, purge, and they were really excruciating. I was also having suicidal thoughts, and I was very depressed. And a guy that I was dating at the time bought me a guitar, and I didn't know how to play the guitar. And so I committed to myself that every time I had an urge to like throw up a meal, that I would rather pick up the guitar and play it.
Wow.
And so I just committed to that, and now I can sort of play guitar.
That's amazing.
And it just was somewhere that I could go to, that when I was feeling all of these heavy feelings, I could go there, and I knew immediately that I would be taken into a place of safety. And even to this day, I just had a breakup like this week with a like 7-year relationship, and I'm like so distraught, and yet music is a place I go to just process all of those feelings and to feel all of those things, you know.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take a step back and just like feel what you feel, you know, and just like recognize where you are and that it's okay to be there, you know. It's all by design, and this is part of the next chapter.
Absolutely. And music has a way of accessing the intangible things that you need to access within yourself to process without actually having to like think about them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it just goes straight through you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No,
that's amazing. How do you ever handle creative block if you ever have moments like that?
So I think I have had, so I get a lot of frustration when I get creative block. But then I realize that it's because I'm expecting myself to do something rather than just being with what is. And so the first thing I need to do is I need to step back so that I can give myself grace to not be able to do it right. And when I step back and like I step away from trying too hard, then I allow life in, and usually allowing life in allows me to gain more resource or more things to think about or more tools. So for instance, instead of like trying to get a chord progression right, I might go and jump in the ocean and like feel what the ocean feels like, and then get like inspired, you know?
Yeah.
So it's stepping away is really important. Giving myself grace is also really important. And then when I'm really, really struggling, one of the greatest things to do is just learn a new skill.
Yeah.
So when I'm feeling creatively blocked, a lot of the time I'll go into YouTube and I'll find like an artist I really like, and I'll just do like a breakdown tutorial of one of their songs, and I'll just follow it, and I'll like follow it step by step. This is how they layered the drums, this is how they did the voice, this is how where they put the hi-hat and the reverbs they used and everything. And I actually just build a song that isn't my creation, but it's actually someone else's creation.
Yeah.
And then through that, I find things that feel exciting, and often I find things then that create music that I was feeling blocked with, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you feel like was your biggest investment in music besides time?
My biggest investment in music. I guess if you wanna, it sounds so cheesy, but like the financial investment of like getting the right gear and stuff like that is sometimes something you've just got to go like, this is just what I'm doing because this is what I love and I got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Investment. That's a hard one. I've never thought of that question.
Well,
I want to
be
think
the
of
gear.
some smart answer. Yeah,
No. It could be the
gear.
gear. What would you say is like the most expensive purchase that you had to make to get the gear that like to get started?
My laptop.
Yeah, definitely.
A laptop that can handle as many tracks as I want to make.
Absolutely. I know how it gets, and the more and more technology gets advanced, the more we need to get better laptops and stuff. You know, the laptop that was working in 2010 isn't going to work right now. So it's like,
exactly.
I definitely went through that as well.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I think another thing is also because I'm not like proficient yet at mixing and mastering. Like I can mix and master, but I can't do it to the degree that I want to do it. I do outsource. And so that also can be quite costly as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah, with me, I kind of took the approach of like knowing how costly it does get. I took the approach of just like staying true and doing it myself, only to like kind of like tell the story with my music as well, because I do that too. So like as my projects progress, my fans will be able to go back and hear the difference in the music that I'm doing, you know, and be like, wow, it's like compared to like when you first started it, it's different, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like when you do it like that as well, you learn what you like as well, you know, something that your engineer may hear and cut out because he doesn't like it or she doesn't like it, you know, you may hear and be like, I'm gonna leave that, you know?
Yeah.
You know.
I think it also it depends on the situation. So like at the moment, the songs that I'm releasing now have been in the works for 4 years.
Oh wow.
And the reason why it's been so delayed is because I've been working with a guy who is one of my best friends who I actually studied with, and he is one of the greatest like musicians and mix and master engineers that I know. And we create really well together, but he's been in a really, really tough life situation, and it's been really hard for him to like actually step into the music space.
Yeah.
And so this like release of the music at the moment, even though I was like outsourcing him to pay for the mixing and mastering, he was also creating the music we were doing it collaboratively, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, but you're absolutely right. I'm busy learning as much as I can. So I'm like a weird YouTube addict at the moment with tutorials.
That's how you have to be, though. It's nothing weird about it. You know, it's literally like, I look at it like it's an investment in yourself. You know, you're sitting there for that hour, you're paying yourself, you're paying your craft, because it's not only something that you're going to learn momentarily and be able to get like a quick gain from. You're also gonna have that knowledge in mind 2 years from now. You know, maybe you may remember the video you watched today for an hour that you learned certain terminology and stuff, like, you know, it all goes hand in hand. And when you just apply yourself and you put yourself in the position to be able to receive what it is that you want, you're definitely gonna get it. You just gotta keep being consistent with it. But hey, giving your music to somebody else too is a huge step above some of the competition as well, because then you get that time back. We all know that mix and master, how time consuming it is.
Yeah.
So it's like being able to just walk away from the music and just say, here, you do your thing. I'm gonna keep creating more music. You know, that's that in itself, you know, is worth paying for. It's priceless.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Give me a favorite movie of yours.
I'm not going to say this correctly. I really love Les Miserables.
What is it?
Les Miserables. I think that's how you say it. It's a musical with Hugh Jackman in it. And the reason I love it is because, number one, it's one of the most powerful movies I've watched and one of the most underrated movies I've watched. The music is incredible, but also one of the reasons I love it is because when I was in high school, our school actually put this musical play on as one of the plays that it did for the year.
Wow.
And we had an incredible orchestra lead, like a conductor, and she got the music for us. There was 8 of us in the little mini orchestra.
Wow.
And she had the option to get the school version of the score, or to get the like real legit one that they use on Broadway kind of thing. And she was like, I believe in you guys, you can do the Broadway one. And so she got it, and we spent months and months learning this music, and so technical. And so like I have an appreciation for the music, and then when the movie came out, I was just like bawling my eyes out at all the scenes with Anne Hathaway and like all of that. So
No, that's amazing. Who's somebody that you would love to work with?
Who's somebody that I would love to work with? Okay, so it depends. It's like Liana Havas. I just want to marry her. And then like if I'm thinking of celebrities, I'm thinking like Matt Corby, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But I think it would be really cool to work with someone local as well. Like I don't know if you know of Black Coffee.
I've heard.
Yeah, but him and another guy called DJ Merlin and Zex Bantwini. There's a lot of really amazing like African artists like emerging at the moment that are just like so incredible, and I'd love to work with them because I think that I have like a very good vibe for that kind of music.
For sure.
So yeah, if I could work with everyone, I would. But yeah, those are the first people that come to mind. Absolutely.
All right, well, we're wrapping up over here. Is there anything that you want to say is on the way? Any shout outs you want to give?
I think I would love to let you know about the song that's on the way, that's being released on the 14th of Feb. I don't know when you release this podcast, so I'll just it's on the 14th of Feb. It's called Wildflower.
Okay.
And it probably is the song that is, if you were to just like do a dissection of my heart and soul and put it into music, that song would be it.
Wow.
And it's actually based on a poem that my mother wrote when she was married to my dad. And this poem is called Wildflower, and it speaks about moving through adversity and braving the storm, and like as a woman, just like staying strong, staying graceful, and like really taking things easily and